Good evening. We're starting with some breaking news coming out of South Phoenix right now. Several apartment complexes are blocked off near 19th Avenue and Southern as police look for a shooting suspect. These are live pictures from the scene.
Phoenix police told 12 News that they were called to the shooting around 8:40 this evening and that one man was shot. He was taken to the hospital with serious but non-life-threatening injuries. Police learned that the suspect ran into a nearby residence and they are now searching for that suspect. Stay with 12 News and 12news.com for the very latest. Now to Lake Pleasant, where there's an active search for a swimmer who went missing over the weekend. Good evening and thanks so much for joining us for 12 News at 10. I'm Kariba Devine.
I'm Mark Curtis. The man disappeared Sunday after he started to struggle while trying to swim back to his boat. Tonight, 12 News journalist Gabriela Becerra spoke to his family. She's at Lake Pleasant with the latest on the search.
It's now been more than 48 hours since 74-year-old Arthur Kolodzinski was last seen while swimming near South Barker Island at Lake Pleasant. Rescue teams are continuing their search while family holds on to hope that he'll be found safe.
My dad is definitely an adventurer.
On the water is where 74-year-old Arthur Kolodzinski loves to be.
We were always on jet skis. We were always on boats. And he was a daredevil.
His daughter, Jenny, who spoke with me from Florida, remembers spending summers with her dad outdoors.
He was always pushing us, especially me, to just live life adventurously.
And he's a good swimmer.
He is an amazing swimmer. He's the one who taught me how to swim, and that's why this is shocking.
Family tells me Kolodzinski was on his boat at Lake Pleasant last Sunday with his neighbor when he disappeared in the water. Maricopa County Sheriff's Office tells us someone called 911, reporting a man was struggling to swim back to the boat. He was yelling for help before he went underwater and didn't resurface. Rescue crews are on the water. Family and friends are looking too. Now, days into the search, family is trying to stay hopeful Kolodzinski made it to the shore and is waiting to be rescued there.
I know that my dad knew what to do. Like, he would know what to do. If any of us, he would know what to do.
Family tells me they have a lot of unanswered questions about what led up to Kolodzinski's disappearance. The Maricopa County Sheriff's Office could not share any additional details, saying they're focused on the search. At Lake Pleasant, Gabriela Becerra, 12 News.
All right, Gabby, thank you. We are following some developing news tonight. Federal agents were in a Phoenix neighborhood executing search warrants earlier this evening. This all happening in the area of 7th Avenue and Southern just before 7 p.m. Officials tell 12 News that ICE and other federal partners executed 5 federal search warrants related to human smuggling and harboring. We're awaiting additional details on who they brought into custody, so stay with 12 News for more updates.
If you've been outside tonight, it just feels like we're right in the middle of the afternoon. And that's when you know we're dealing with a weather impact alert with extreme heat in place for the valley. Let's check in with meteorologist Lindsay Riley.
And tomorrow is going to be even hotter by about 5 degrees. Right now, we are at 105 in downtown Phoenix, so extremely hot. We topped out at 112 today, and tomorrow we're headed for 117, and that's going to be a record high, beating actually last year's record of 116. And even Thursday, more extreme heat, 114 in the forecast, and that's within striking distance of yet another record. So for the next 2 days, we are dealing with extreme heat. Even up in the high country, we have records in jeopardy. Payson tomorrow, looking at a high of 103. That would tie a record set back in 2003. Sedona headed for 107 tomorrow, which would also beat a 2003 record of 106. Low 90s in Flagstaff, 105 in Page and Prescott, topping out at 100. We have 2 more days of the extreme heat to get through, but even as temperatures cool, they're not going to be so cool. We're talking highs right at 110 heading into the upcoming weekend. Karibe.
All right, Lindsay, thank you. New at 10, the city of Mesa has approved a special recall election for one of its own city council members. 12 News journalist Chase Golightly was there for the vote. He spoke with that councilwoman as well as those who want her gone.
The Mesa City Council unanimously approved the recall election in a 5-0 vote, but that doesn't mean they're for it, saying the only reason why they voted this way is because they're required to by state law.
Thousands of voters in Mesa's 2nd District want their city councilwoman, Julie Spilsbury, gone. I strongly believe that Councilwoman Spilsbury should be immediately removed from office.
A petition started by Joanne Robbins gathered close to 4,000 signatures, which is more than enough for the recall. They claim Spilsbury used her political office to advance private interests. They didn't like how she voted to approve changing a former hotel into a temporary homeless shelter, voted to increase utility rates and city council salaries. Spilsbury, a Republican, also announced her support for Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris and Democratic Senator Ruben Gallego, which really led to most of the backlash from residents.
People feel betrayed, and it's the same scenario with Julie Spilsbury.
Robbins was also there speaking with us shortly after the recall was approved by everyone, including Spilsbury.
When she used her title to campaign for candidates that go against pro-life, pro-family, and all that, there is a bait and switch.
While many spoke against her, just as many want the councilwoman to stay.
Constituents have already spoken and reelected her overwhelmingly.
Mesa is lucky to have her voice on the city council.
The council's vote was not one they wanted to make. 2 members actually spoke out against it, saying the only reason why they approved it was because they have to under state law.
I believe it is a waste of taxpayer dollars without just cause.
I don't agree with everything that she's done or said or stood for, but this is not good for Mesa.
Spilsbury saying her votes to increase utilities and salaries were approved unanimously by the council. Also, her support for Democratic candidates were known before her election.
I'm very frustrated by this. I've done nothing wrong, nothing illegal. That should be what recalls are used for.
Now, Spilsbury, who just won her re-election in July with 65% of the vote, is getting ready for another race, but says what's at stake in this one means so much more.
I absolutely want to keep doing this. I do. And so, yeah, I'm going to fight for it. You know, people are like, you need to resign. I'm not resigning. I'm not going anywhere.
That special election will be held in November. Robin's telling me they do already have a candidate in mind, and that candidate will be making that announcement herself soon. We're in Mesa tonight. Chase Golightly, 12 News.
Chase, thanks. Scottsdale police have identified the man who was killed in a bee attack yesterday. The department says 65-year-old Nicholas Lopez Soto died after he was stung multiple times. Soto, along with 2 other men, were taking stucco off the side of a senior living facility. Police say they were hired to try to get the building ready for a beekeeper who was scheduled to remove a hive. Soto died at the hospital. The 2 other workers were also taken to the hospital for their injuries. Scottsdale police investigating. Tonight, we continue our reporting on cases of teen violence. Earlier today, Gilbert police sat down to answer our questions after a teen assault involving a group of girls was captured on camera over the weekend.
It happened in the parking lot of an In-N-Out where several other group assaults have happened over the past 2 years. Police say that a 15-year-old girl thought 2 girls had previously egged her house, and so she showed up that night to confront them. That's when the fight broke out outside. The teen who confronted the others, along with a second teenage girl, have been arrested. 12 News journalist Bianca Bono spoke to Gilbert's assistant police chief about the department's response.
Still feels reactive rather than proactive. How do you actually prevent these assaults from happening in the first place?
It's really, you know, I've been doing this job for a long time, and that's always been a question of how can we be there before a fight even starts. It's really challenging for the police department. In this particular area, we patrol this very heavily. Really, we do ask for the parents to, if we can kind of get a handle on some of the curfew violations that are going on, that'll really help us out.
There is a 10 p.m. curfew in Gilbert for those under the age of 16 and then a midnight curfew for those under the age of 18. So back to the 2 suspects. They were both facing charges of assault and disorderly conduct.
The city of Phoenix has a new police chief. Officials announced today that Matt Giordano will take over the position. Giordano is no stranger to the department or to Arizona. He had a long career with Phoenix PD before going on to work at MCSO and the State Peace Officers Board. He now inherits a department that's gone through some tough times. It was recently investigated by the Department of Justice for use of force issues. 12 News journalist Troy Hayden talked to the new chief shortly after he was formally introduced.
You had to say something to members of the community who might say, hey, Phoenix PD has not been fair to our community in the past. What would you say to them right now?
Well, just like I say to the community anytime, is that we want to listen, we want to help, we need to police to the expectations of our community. So I would tell them that, please trust us, but bring us your concerns. We can't get better if we don't know about your concerns. And I can tell them to trust me that I will always look to continuously evolve this department to better serve what they believe they expect and what that we believe they deserve from their police department.
It was kind of a homecoming for Giordano. He spent much of the day getting reacquainted with many of his old friends. It's still unclear when he'll be sworn in.